Clap is good. Sing and clap.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I see some of you actively looking for the words to that last song. We promise you the rest of the service will be much more accessible. You'll find Mishkan Tefillah in your seat pocket in front of you. That's for those who are joining us newly tonight. That is our Siddur, that's our prayer book. It is infinitely accessible in the English, in the Hebrew, in the transliteration. On the page where we are located during a certain prayer and on the pages before and after, you will find an entree somewhere, I guarantee you, in this prayer book. It's beautifully written, it's beautifully compiled. So join us where you can in song, in prayer, in silence, in meditation, in the pages ahead and the pages behind. But before we do anything, before we greet each other in a formal Shabbat Shalom, let's greet each other in an informal Shabbat Shalom. Please introduce yourself to someone who you've not yet met. Introduce yourself and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. And then if you would please open your Siddurim to page 121. We invite the Beckwith Cohn family to join us as we kindle the Shabbat lights, page 121. We wait, we pause for one moment. Can we invite the rest of the Beckwith Cohn family to join us?
Good timing. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch
atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Join us, please, on page 123 as we all of us rise for Kiddush. Page 123.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei perich hagafen. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshon b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinhilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit. Ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinhaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat.
Please be seated. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Page 136, as we continue, page 136.
And this is a new song, Psalm 29, a new melody by Shlomo Carlebach. It's very simple to catch, so we'll sing first in a la-la line, and then we'll try with the words. Lai, 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 ya la 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 lai, lai, lai. Like that, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. Back to beginning, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Next time, she'll add belly dancing. So you have heard me say before, you heard the front part of that, which was Cantor Braun saying, next time we'll add belly dancing, right? You have heard me say before, when we move towards Lecha Dodi, the part of the service where we are meant to go out and to greet the Sabbath bride, that particular melody of Mizmor LeDavid, that Psalm 29, is probably exactly what it sounded like when they rushed out into the fields to greet the Sabbath bride. So we do that in kind as we turn to page 138 for the singing of Lecha Dodi. We will be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. At verse 9, we all of us rise, all of us who are able, we rise and we turn to the back door. We greet the Sabbath bride and we welcome her. All of us are seated as we turn to page 263. Tonight we worship from Shabbat evening service number 2, not ordinarily the service that we use, but all of us are stretching a little bit, and we're going to see how everybody feels about service number 2. So page 263 is where we continue with the Chatzi Kaddish.
Madi verachirate ve'amlich machote bechaye chol v'yom echad ufchaye dechol Beit Yisrael bagala ubizman karim v'imeru Amen Yehi shmera mevorach יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקדושה נעלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירה בעלמה וימרו.
Join us, please, if you will, on page 264 as we rise for our call to worship the Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'divaro ma'ariv arabim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmoroteim b'rakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tsevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv arabim. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age, the children of Torah become its builders. Baruch atah Adonai, Yohev Amo Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
And please be seated.
V'yavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher Elohim etzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'am b'shivtecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטות בין עיניך, ובטחתם על מזוזות ביתך וישעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to dissolve the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant everyone claim for themselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learn God's presence.
La la la
חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
As we move from the Shema and her blessings to the Hashkivenu, we move ourselves also figuratively through the work week, through the days of creation to the day of rest, through our days of work and creation, our days of busyness to our day of rest. And in the Hashkivenu, we invite God, we ask please to give us a place to rest, give us some calm, give us some shelter, give us some ease. Hashkivenu on page 271.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shamreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shamreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzitenu uvoinu lechaim shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shamreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shamreinu lechaim.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Continue with the Yismechu on the next page. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei olech Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei olech Shabbat. Mekadesh Shvi Shabbat, Kulam Yisrael, v'yitantu midovecha Shabbat. Clap your hands. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei olech Yisrael. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei olech Shabbat. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat, chemdat yamim oto karata Shabbat. Everybody yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei olech Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei olech Shabbat. Zecher l'maseh b'reshit Shabbat. Zecher l'maseh b'reshit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei olech Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei olech Shabbat.
In a moment, we will rise, or we will be in our place in the thought of rising, to offer our thanks, to offer our praise, our gratitude to God, as we do in the spine, in the core, in the heart of our worship as we turn to the words of the Amidah. And I invite you, just before you stand, to take just but one moment and to perhaps think of one unexpected moment this week between last Shabbat and this, for which you are thankful. And then when you are ready, please would you join us as you rise. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, v'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha sela, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you blessed it above all other days, more sacred than all festival times. So it is written in your Torah, the heaven and the earth were finished and all their array. On the seventh day God had completed the work that had been done, ceasing then on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, and ceased from all the creative work that God had chosen to do. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day.
May all who despair find purpose. May all who find fulfillment on this day.
And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise.
Baruch Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Be gracious, Adonai, our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. O may our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. And please be seated.
Continue with Modim on page 280. Modim anachnu lach, Modim anachnu lach, she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu, tzur chayenu, tzur chayenu, tzur chayenu magir yishenu, atahu, atahu ledor vador, modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach, anachnu lach.
Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. B'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
Each of us take a few moments of prayer, of meditation, and in silence.
יהיו לרצון נמרי פי, יהיו רצון נמרי פי, מליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו,
Let's turn our hearts, our thoughts, our prayers to those in our community, near and far, who are struggling, who for weakness of body or weakness of spirit could use some loving from our congregation, from our corner of the world. And so we say, Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel Beleah, Hu Yivarech et Acholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah bless and heal those who are ill, give strength to those who are struggling. And this evening we are holding in thought Jim Buran, Shana Esther Bat Ruchel, Florence Sporn, Agnes Agi, Steve Brent, Barb DeCario, Harav Adina Yehudit Bat Yaakov Valea, Mark Friedman, Patrick Doherty, Jason Margolis, Jeffrey Kirsch, Laurie Conway, Elizabeth Friedman, Shalom Ephraim Binyamin Ben Leamina, Evelyn Mitzner-Wohl, Dorothy Jacobson, Sarah Graff, James Boyle, and Dick Kruder. If there are other names that you would add to the list, others who you are holding in prayer, and let's also add those who are struggling now because of natural disaster, the terrible floods and fires that we are seeing. Let's include them in our prayers as well. If there's another name that you would add, or a name better spoken aloud by you, please, as I look your way, would you share that name aloud with us? Let's join together as we say, may the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived, for them to have the best of what they need, enough of what they need, and may God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit as we turn together to page 371 for the Mishaberach together, page 371.
Avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless their ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
many of you know how young kids in Cheder originally learned their Aleph Bet, their alphabet in Hebrew? How many of you know the teaching that goes along with it? Many of you, I know, have heard this before. How did they learn their Aleph Bet? Memory. And what in particular made it easier for them to memorize? Say again? Chocolate, what? Honey. Honey, right? So if you can imagine, right, a full complement of the alphabet, right, from the front, right, we would say in English from A to Z, right, from Aleph all the way through to the end of the alphabet. Under each letter there would be a little dot of honey. And once the student mastered the letter, right, so the teacher would say the first letter is Aleph, and they would say something close to Aleph, and they would try again, and the teacher would say Aleph, and the kid would say Aleph, and the teacher would say, good, go ahead, and they would put their finger in the dot of honey right below the Aleph, and they would suck it off their finger, and their learning should be sweet to them, right? We know this, right? Do you know? Oh, it's like I see lots of nodding heads, I see some scratching of heads, but there is, right in between, it was the way that young children learned their alphabet, by learning, and that their learning should be sweet to them. So in this week's Torah portion, Ve'et Hanan, which we read in the book of Deuteronomy, we find some critically important verses where Moses addresses the Israelites just before his death and pleads with God to let him into the promised land, which sadly we know never comes to pass. In this, his last address, he warns the people against idolatry and reminds them to observe all the commandments. He recites the 10 commandments and then those that follow, and with the rapt attention of the people, Moses speaks the words at the very center of our faith, saying, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is your God, Adonai is one. You shall love Adonai with your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. These are words that are familiar to us in the Shema, in the Ve'ahavta, in English, in the Hebrew. And it is here in Ve'et Hanan that we are gifted with the wisdom and the command to teach them, quite literally in quotes, to teach them, meaning the mitzvot, diligently to your children, and to speak of them. And Moses implores the people to do what is right and good in the sight of Adonai, that it may go well with you. These are his words. So there's a great deal packed into this one portion, and even more for us to unpack, perhaps at an adult ed table. But what we know is that we are a people known for our love of debate. We are a people known for our love of intellectual discourse, as some of you have probably read. In 2017, the most recent statistics cited claimed that the Nobel Prizes that have been awarded up until this point, till 2017, there were 892 people. Do you know these statistics? 892 people, of whom 201, that's 22.5%, were Jewish. 22.5% of Nobel Prize winners are Jewish. And although the total Jewish population comprises less than how much? 0.2% of the world's population, this means that the percentage of Jewish Nobel laureates is at least 112.5, I am not a mathematician, but 112.5 times, or 11,250% above average. Somewhat interesting, don't you think? We have been a people long known for study, whether that study is Torah or Talmud, responsa, or evolving contemporary literature. And irrespective of whether we believe or wrestle with the fact that Torah is divinely given or divinely inspired, Torah, and more importantly, the study of Torah, is something we as a people have been able to agree is of ultimate importance. Whether we ourselves engage in it a little or a lot, whether we did as children but not as adults, or not as children but now as adults, the study of Torah critically, lovingly, skeptically, and amazingly is what has kept us together as a people who survive and thrive. But my colleague, Rachel Sabbath Beit Halachmi, asks the question many of us present-day Reformed Jews often ask. Why study Torah? Or I might ask, why continue to study Torah in this day and age? If by all accounts we as a people have made it, if with the click of a button we can find the answer to any biblical or halachic, any Jewish legal question, why bother continuing to study our sacred texts? So for the sake of time, I'm going to give you succinctly, I promise, her 4 bullet points why she thinks we should continue studying. She notes that some of the potential motivations might be these 4. A student of Torah may be seeking, 1, to have a conversation-like encounter with God, and for this she cites Psalm 119. Oh, how I love your teaching, it is my study all day long. And here she suggests that Torah study needs no rationale. We don't need to understand why. It's just pure love. It is the unyielding desire to be in deep relationship with God. And then she writes, this is a foreign notion to most modern Jews. Second, she suggests a transgenerational transmission of culture, and from this she cites this week's Torah portion, Deuteronomy chapter 6. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk of them. Followed, we know, by many traditionally observant Jews today. This is about education and the acquisition of Jewish knowledge. You should study so you can learn. For many in the non-Orthodox Jewish world, Rabbi Sabbath suggests this is about as relevant to adult life as 8th grade geometry. Third, a clear technical guide with no disrespect to geometry. Third, a clear technical guide to religious practice and proper behavior. This is the third reason that somebody might engage in Torah study. Deuteronomy 17 is what she quotes. Let him read in it all his life, so that he may revere the eternal his God, to observe faithfully every word of this teaching. Here, the study of Torah is to provide proof, religious guidance, and authority. Torah is studied to understand and to follow the law, and to live what many call a Torah-true life, to live halachically. And finally, number 4, which she suggests, as a rich source of wisdom and insight into life, here she quotes the book of Joshua. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have success. Here, she suggests, this learner sees the Torah as a wellspring of wisdom on virtually every aspect of one's life, from the technical to the spiritual. So you may find, I might find within these 4 answers, 1 or more that resonate with you as to why studying Torah remains important. And undoubtedly, if I took a poll, there would be others that would be offered up. But one more for us to perhaps consider has been framed within the 2,000-year-old question debated by our sages, who asked, which has more merit, study or practice? And what's the answer? Do you know? I hear practice on this side. Didn't hear much from this side. Got a 50-50 chance here, right? So their answer, and we find it in our daily liturgy, the Talmud Torah keneged kulam, the study of Torah, is equal to them all because it leads to them all. Through studying our sacred texts, it can lead us to good practice. Not necessarily the kind of practice that you may be thinking, like how long to wait between dairy and meat products, the eating of dairy and meat products, although certainly a possibility, but things like how to treat our laborers, how we conduct our business, how we treat our animals, and how we interact with our family members. And whether understood literally or figuratively, studying Torah can be transformational if we consider it not for its individual parts, not just for its narratives or its laws, but for better understanding, as Aaron Wexler suggests, and the ability, this is his thought, this is the 5th one that I'm offering, the ability to think like God. The ability to think like God. Wexler notes that the notion that study of Torah exceeds all because it leads to proper practice makes sense. But he asks regarding this long-held question, what was the rationale behind the debate's initial premise that Torah study should be of more importance? Why would the mere study of something be thought to be even more important than practice, which was the vote on this side? And he suggests that while it is the aim of study of other disciplines to be informational, it is the goal of Torah study to be transformational. Torah isn't just to be studied, it is to be experienced, a full body experience. And through that experience, we are elevated and made more divine. We literally can become more godlike. But while acting like God has its merits, the best way to imitate God is to get into God's mindset. The study of Torah allows us to get an insight into the mind of God. While the mitzvot, the practice, allows us to act like God, the study of Torah gives us the ability to think like God, he writes. And Torah is, after all, a translation of the mind of God into human words. So, the value of studying, however that looks for each of us individually, in class, online, here at Temple, may be, but need not merely be, informational, but instead transformational. It can impact our practice, our day-to-day interactions, our communal strength, and our deepening understanding of God. And finally, in Pirkei Avot, a text that many of you have studied, from chapter 4 we read, "He who learns in order to teach will be enabled both to learn and to teach. But the one who learns in order to practice will be enabled to learn, to teach, to observe, and to practice." So I wish you the proverbial dot of honey as you continue your learning, and may it always be sweet to you. Please join us as we turn to page 586 as we rise for the Aleinu. Page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כארצות, ולא עשנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויעשה את הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו עיניו, אמת מלכנו אפס ולתו, קבעתו בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אלות, ונאמר וקרא אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We We pause now to think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who have died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. During the period of Shloshim, the last 30 days, we are mourning the loss of Ruth Krause, mother of Ronald Krause, Rita Simon, John Earn, husband of Ellen Earn, and Jean Every, aunt of Gary Levy and grandmother of Hannah and Madeline Every. And this marks a yahrzeit and anniversary of passing for Edward Behrman, Harvey Birnbaum, Michael Bondi, Frida Braverman, Shirley Brownstein, Mark Buff, Leonard Cohn, Penny Cook, Jean Dietz, Helene Fabian, Leah Fernandez, Molly Fleischer, Edward Frankel, Estelle Ruskin Handelman, Leon A. Herman, Daniel Hyman, Sylvia Kaplan, Julius Katz, Mo Lando, Bess Lapidus, Max Less, Thelma Lingenfelter, Ruth Lipton, Barbara Locketts, Sandy McNitt, Jocelyn Bernstein Phillips, Paul M. Rosen, Paul Roel, Marty Schildkraut, Morton Schneider, Paul Shapiro, David Tolan, Jack Weinstein, Barbara Whiteman, Martha Polly Wheeler, and Dorothy Winters. If there are other names that you would add to either list or names properly spoken aloud by you, please, as I look your way, would you share that name aloud with us? Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing as we join together on page 598. Yid kadal v'yid kadash shmei rabba, be'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei v'yomei v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mivarach le'olam umei almaya. V'yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all who are mourning, to all Israel, as we join together in saying, Amen. And please be seated. We are glad you're here tonight for whatever it is that brought you, and have just a very, very few announcements. Tomorrow morning here at Temple at 9:15 we have bagels and Bible. And then we have next Friday evening a 6 o'clock service, and then the following Saturday morning, 9:15, bagels and Bible again. We are inviting you to save the date for Temple Sinai's trip to the Red Wings baseball game on Sunday, August 12th at Frontier Field. You just need to call the office to register and get some more Shabbat. Put that on your calendar also for the 24th if you haven't been here for Get Some More Shabbat, or you haven't, you know why you should come back. Come back on August 24th. And are there any celebrations? Is there any news that we should know about? Any joys? Anything that we should know about that's happening in your world?
My son was married this past weekend.
Mazel tov.
That's a hard one to follow. We're thankful. I don't know if you are aware, but we have our rain guests staying with us this evening as well through the week. So if you have a chance to visit with our rain guests at some point, they are joining us this week, just coming to the close of their week. But we're always grateful that they can spend time with us here too. Any other news at all? They used to say joys or oys. I just like the joys. But anything else that is a celebration? Please.
Wow.
That is a joy. That is a joy. Excellent. Yes. July 30th? Soon. Your birthday is July 30th. You got to come back and celebrate with us. Happy early birthday. Happy early birthday.
Happy birthday.
Good. We want to thank, is Ellen Goldenberg, give a wave? Ellen Goldenberg for being our greeter this evening. We're grateful that she could join us. Raise your hand, please, if you are not new to Temple. If you're not new. Okay, everybody not new to Temple, look around, see whose hand is not up. Make sure you greet a newcomer, please, at our oneg. Feels far less stressful than asking the new guys on the block to raise their hand, right? So please be sure we have some guests joining us for the first time tonight, or maybe the first few times tonight. Please, we will have an oneg Shabbat, just some sweets and some coffee and tea in the social hall behind us. Please make sure that if you see a face that is unfamiliar to you, that you greet them and give them a Temple Sinai welcome. And if you would join us on our closing song, Adon Olam, on page 625, this is your chance to let it rock. 625.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem bo yitzir yibra le'ed nasa v'hefson kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra v'yaharei kiflo v'kol v'vado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hove v'hu yiyeh b'tifara v'hu yiyeh b'tifara v'hu echad ve'en sheni l'chag shechlo l'chag bira b'li reshit b'li tachlit v'lo ha'os v'ha'misra v'lo ha'os v'ha'misra v'hu eli v'chag lo ani v'tzur chevli v'etzara v'hu nisi u'manosi menat kosi b'yom ekra menat kosi b'yom ekra v'yahdu afidruki v'her ishan v'ayira v'yimruni geviyati Adonai li v'lo yira Adonai li v'lo yira.
I'm still learning. It's all good. It's all good. Let's give thanks for all that sustains us, all that nourishes us, all that has nourished us this evening, this week. And let's give thanks together as we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Please join us as we rise for our closing benediction. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God grant strength to our people. May God bless our people with a lasting, with a full, with a warm sense of peace as we all of us join together in saying,
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
Like you were in traffic.
There was people in handcuffs. It was a huge pile of
Some of us. People like to sing, so yes.
You're from Ukraine.
Yes.
So I don't know if you knew anything about our work. We're going to
Mukachevo?
Yeah, Mukachevo.
It's near the Lviv. It's western Ukraine.
Western in the Carpathian Mountains.
Yeah, Karpat. Yeah. Why did you choose to go there?
My dad was raised there. He was born in Khust and raised in...
Your dad is Alan? He comes to Shno.
No, my dad passed away. So we were close, and we were going out, but we were having trouble finding information. Well, there aren't any relatives.
How are you gonna go get around there? Like we have a tour guide?
We have a driver.
Nice to see you. Good Shabbat. Nice to see you.
We have a driver and a translator.
Oh, so that's good.
Yeah.
So they're gonna drive you around.
Anything we need to be careful of? You're from Southern
Ukraine. Why? I haven't been back since '93.
Oh, really?
1993. I have nothing, there.
Your family?
Everybody's here. My husband's here. I mean, I'm married here. But my mom in New Jersey, my grandma, we all came in 1993.
Well, we just saw that you can.
And we listened to your accent.
Yes, I came here, I was 22, so it's hard to lose accent. But I don't know, just be careful, with your bags and everything like that, whenever you go to any country.
Yeah, we will.
If you have a tour guide that you booked from here, I would just go stay.
Actually, we booked you from Budapest.
Budapest?
Driving is wrong, and a guide going with us to get us across the border, quote unquote.
So it's not...
Are you flying to Budapest?
Yes.
We're flying to Budapest. So we're doing a river cruise, and we ended up saying, oh my God, look how close we are. We've got to get
How many hours? Like 3 hours?
3 hours. Well, they said anywhere between 3 and 8. It depends on crossing the border, I guess.
Yeah, you have to stay there in customs.
We're not-
a long time.
Yeah. Actually, I asked him, I said, do we have to pay? And he said, not officially. So,
That's why we were smart. A very good friend of ours who travels a lot, and he put us in touch with this through his travel with this group.
So I'm just curious, why didn't you take a plane from Budapest to Lvov to fly? We'll be right there, no?
no, there was nothing close.
Kiev, Budapest, Kiev.
Kiev is south?
It's Kiev from Lvov is like overnight train.
Yeah, so you only have 2 days.
We're going down the Danube
Danube, yeah.
from Budapest to Prague.
You go in Bucharest too? Bucharest? Romania? No.
No, not this trip.
So you're taking the car, so the, yeah, you do the border. Especially in the summer, very busy. So I hope it's not going to be too many hours in the car, in the border.
Well, now.
Yeah. So there is no other way, right, to get from Budapest?
We actually looked at from Budapest, and they told us the train would have taken us to Poland,
Okay.
and then down south, or the bus would have taken us on a similar route. The bus would have taken a day and a half.
Oh, yeah. In the bus, you also have to stay through customs.
Yeah.
The plane is doing it. Waiting.
Yeah, I didn't find a close airport that was
Well, unfamiliarity doesn't help.
Yeah. Minsk.
We've already paid the bills.
Get the bills. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's exciting.
So we'll send you regards.
Yeah. I hope it will be nice and enjoyable. I'm sure the cruise is great.
Yes. We had an exchange student with us a year. We're going to meet her parents. Yes. Amen.